So I was a day one Pokemon Go player. And I love Pokemon Go, but I also hate Pokemon Go. And I don't know, I just have some thoughts on it. So I just got my second level 40 account banned. And I know I'm going to lose some people here because there's a whole slew of people that just think spoofers are the devil. And I get it. And I'm not here to rant about getting my account banned. I screwed up. I get that. This was my day one account. I guess I had spoofed on it years ago, got my warnings, and then decided, you know what? I'm never going to spoof on this account again. And then I went on my trail of other accounts. I guess they weren't too good at catching spoofers because my main spoofing account that I used, I literally started using that one in 6 months into the game's life cycle, and it didn't get banned until about a year and a half ago. But I let that one go, and then about 9 months ago, I went back to playing the game legitimately on my main account. Just I started again level 32. I think that's where I left it off at, and then got it all up to 40. And I was just playing the heck out of it. I was having a good time, and the Shadow Mewtwo raids came out the other day, and you can't use remote raid passes for Shadow raids, which is highly annoying. And maybe I should backtrack here. The reason I started spoofing in the first place. When the game first released, I was living in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi. Yes, on weekends, if time permitted, I could drive to Memphis or Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, bigger cities. But I was in a place in Mississippi where there weren't even that many Pokestops. I think there was one trail downtown, but I had to drive 15 to 20 minutes to get there, and there were maybe 6 or 7 stops on it. And that was it. I just had to load up on Pokeballs there and hope that would last me until the next time I could go downtown. And yeah, it was a great chance to go walk my dog, but the game just, from the beginning, was not centered towards rural players. And that's been a point in contention for everyone, I think, since this game's come out, that the game is very city-centric. And that's fine. I get it. I'm not saying that you should legalize spoofing. It's obviously a way to cheat at the game. But there really should be ways to make the game more friendly to rural players. And yes, now you can get to level 37 and create Pokestops. But even in the suburban area that I live at now, on the outskirts of a major city, the only things we can get approved are playgrounds, pretty much, or signs for public parks. And from where my house is situated, during COVID, one of the things they did that I liked is they expanded the reach of what you can interact with. And so from my house, all of a sudden, I could interact with a gym and a Pokestop. And when they brought that in a little bit, now I have to leave my house. I can't just collect Pokeballs from my house anymore, which I get. Again, they want you to get out of your house and move. It gives advantages to people who live closer to parks. And I bet there actually, you know what? I take that back. There probably is some crazy people out there that are literally going to purchase houses, and they're playing Pokemon Go at the house, and they're picking the one closest to the parks. They don't have to leave. But the game really doesn't help rural players. I briefly was in a different city where you could have stops, gyms, everything from your house. And honestly, if you can go on a walk with your dog or on a walk with your family or even by yourself and do a simple mile loop, because a mile is a solid walk. That's for a normal person, 12 to 15 minutes. If you can hit 15 stops, a few gyms in that walk from your house, you're in a solid place to play the game. I mean, you could be sitting in your living room, pop it up and go, hey, there's a raid over there. And the real key thing here is, if a 4 or 5-star raid shows up, will there be enough other people to go do it? Because this is where I'm getting back to my problem. Is on my most recent banning, I knew in the area I was at, not only was Shadow Mewtwo only spawning on the weekends, and I work Friday nights, Saturday afternoons, all day Sunday, so my schedule doesn't line up. So if I get a lunch break and I get 45 minutes to run out and go do something, I can go try to get some raids. It works out sometimes for community days. I can run out to a community day. over to an outlet mall where there's, usually a lot of spawns. But if I get over there and there's no one doing the raid, that's just it. There's no one doing the raid. And for other major raids, I have a friend group. I have 2 friends that are level 40 plus in this game, and they have never spoofed at the game, and they still play it legitimately. And when I was playing the game legitimately here for the last year and a half, we would get remote raid passes. One of us would try to find a raid with at least 2 other people in it. Or if we could do it as 3-man, we'd do it as 3-man. And we would take on these massive raids. And yes, I wish the remote raid pass was a little bit cheaper, but it was an option that allowed us to play the game together, even though none of us had a group, none of us lived together. We couldn't just run out and, join a raid all together, just the 3 of us. It's just not fathomable. But that's what drove this in the beginning. Is mostly I was just looking for a chance in the beginning of the game to have shots at doing raids. And the first 6 months of this game was awesome. Even in rural areas, if you saw a raid, you could get a big group of people. You get out there, you could have a good time. But like most games, the people that played Red and Blue in their childhood, they're not keeping up with Pokemon Go 9 months in. They're not there for Gen 2. They're not coming back for Gen 3. And so while the player base died off, now you have to join specific groups. You have to find raid times. You have to find groups. And if your friends aren't actively playing, doing these raids in places like if you live in San Francisco, New York, Chicago, probably other areas, London. Like when I was over in London this past year, I could walk up to raids and see, hey, there's a bunch of people in here. I could just jump right into whatever 5-star raid was going on, whatever, there were people there. That just doesn't work when you're in your normal city at home unless you have a specific group to go do these things. And that's why the remote raid passes were so nice. And again, I think they should cost the same as a regular pass because they're still getting your money, but I get that they want you to go out and play the game. They don't want you playing it from home. And I'm not even mad about, regional exclusives. I'm not even mad about, some of those like Pikachu's wearing cool shirts that are only showing up in cities over in Asia. Like, I'll never get that. I'm probably never going over to Singapore. I'm not going to these cities where those exist. Those aren't, it's just playing the core concept of the game. Like, here it is, a Shadow Mewtwo's out. And because I have to work weekends, which already hoses me on every community day. Why can't we have a community day on a Wednesday night? I don't know. I guess profits. And because I don't have a raid group set up, even though I have a friend group that plays the game, we're dispersed all over the United States. We just can't go do it. It's excluding people from the game. It's excluding people from an aspect of the game because of their social situation or their work situation. And the simple solution would be not locking the shadow raids to in-person only. But I'm sure that's not going to happen. I feel like that's one of my biggest complaints with the game. Like, I don't mind anything else. I guess community days, I would appreciate it if there was, the way I would solve it is community days on Saturday, and you get like an incense. Like, you get this community day incense. It lasts 3 hours. Drop it when you're ready. You have 24 hours from 8 a.m. local time. And that way, people who work, Saturdays from like 8 to 5 or Sundays, 9 to 5, who are always at work during community day and aren't at a job where they can, sit there and catch Pokemon, could go in at, 7 p.m. when they get off work, go to the park for an hour and a half, drop their incense, and go experience the event. And I get that kind of defeats the purpose of bringing people together at a select time to all play the game together. And on the off chance I ever get to go to community day, there's a few parks around here, and when you go in, it's kind of awesome. Like, my wife was in disbelief. The first time we went to one, I got off work in time to make it to a Sunday community day. I was telling my wife, hey, we're going to get over to this park. There's going to be people playing Pokemon Go everywhere. They're just going to be everywhere. And she goes, no. No one plays this game. Man, no one plays this game. As soon as we're pulling in the park, you just see everyone doing that catch motion with their thumb. Like, it's unmistakable. They're just everywhere, just lures up everywhere, and it was awesome. I did enjoy the experience. I like going to Community Day. But again, these things could be better for most people if there's more flexibility. And I like a lot of the other things they've added. Heck, that on that last Go tour when they had the routes and then there were specific Pokemon spawning on routes as you were doing them, I don't understand why that's not happening all the time. Why is there not constantly a Pokemon spawning at routes? Heck, it could be like a regional thing, like based on like where you're at. Like, hey, right now in the central United States, it's summer. This ground Pokemon spawning on routes. But over there in, London right now, this water Pokemon spawning on routes. Like things like that. Like, and those could rotate. And I'm not saying like regionals, like, but like, like this time for these 3 months, this is what you're getting on routes. And maybe like there's a shiny chance on that. Like maybe instead of the normal 450, it's like a 250 because you're doing a route while you're doing it. And that would make you, because right now you do a route, you can get the gift at the end. I think there's like 2 or 3 quests. But that would get people out of the house. That would encourage people to go to the house and go, hey, I can go hunt this shiny, exclusive, whatever on routes. Yeah. And it would make you more likely to go on routes while you're exploring overseas. Like you're in a different state, you're in a different country. All of a sudden, hey, over here on routes. And, encourages exploration, gets people outside. But I think the game should be more inviting. Like, I like Pokemon Go. It's a fun mechanic. Hey, I've played this game for so long, like so many hours, and I completed a full living shiny dex on Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, mostly because of Pokemon Go. Like if we go look through all of it, I would guess at least half of the Pokemon I have on there from Pokemon Go, either from community days or from hunting them down. Like, I think I got all the fossils and all the legendaries from Pokemon Go. It just wasn't reasonable to do the resets and hunt them down in that game. And then I'm proud of that. Like, I'm not going to go back and rehunt them in Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee. I'm counting the ones I got in Pokemon Go as legitimate shinies that I hunted down. And I think all of these reasons together are why people end up spoofing this game. Yes, there are people that just want to be the best Pokemon Go player, but I wasn't in there spoofing to take down gyms. I wasn't in there spoofing to ruin other people's experience. I was doing it to hunt down, something that I wanted. To have a chance at a raid I would not have been able to accomplish otherwise. And I get that the argument is it gives you an unfair advantage. Like, you could go catch, the perfect, 100% IV Chansey, and then you could go hunt down 500 Chanseys. Then all of a sudden now you have this perfect Chansey to be in this gym at all times. And that, that's a thing that could happen, I guess. And it probably does happen. And then there's the other annoying one of people who just fully revive gyms as you're battling them to hold them forever. But there's so many gyms out there. I feel like that's a minor complaint. And it's not even just spoofers doing that. There's a gym around the corner from my house that when I was playing legitimately, I'd go over and take, once a day. I would wait till it looked like, the people that took it originally had been in there for a while. And a lot of the times people, I think in the houses nearby, because it was the same culprits every time, would just start reviving their Pokemon over and over and over, and I would just give up. So, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the complaints against spoofers kind of fall by the wayside. Yeah, they can go catch, regionals. Yes, there are the people that went and caught all the Lake Spirits as soon as they released. But who are they really hurting? It's not like the Lake Spirits are viable Pokemon to use in battles. It's not like you're putting them into gyms. And they're not really taking away from your experience. This game is mostly a solo game that you just need groups with to experience the larger events. Again, I'm not advocating for unbanning spoofers. My accounts are gone. All the shinies I've acquired on them, all the perfect IV Pokemon, they're lost forever. I get that. It's just the annoyance of what drove me to do it. And I get, you'll say, hey, well, you're the one that chose to spoof, man. Yeah, I did. And guess, like, I just felt like I had to. Like, I just felt I wanted Shiny Mewtwo. Or, no, Shadow Mewtwo, not Shiny. I already have Shiny Mewtwo. I wanted Shadow Mewtwo. And so I went, downloaded the spoofing app, jumped over to San Francisco. First raid I joined. Boom, 20 people. Got my Shadow Mewtwo. IV stunk. Did another one. IV stunk. Did another one. Shiny. I said, you know what? That's probably enough risk. Logged out of the game. Deleted the spoofing app. Downloaded the regular app. Came into the game the next day. Worked fine. Came into the game third day. Account banned. I get it. Choices I made. But if I had been able to buy a raid pass, and also Pokemon Go got $0 from me. Niantic, $0 in this whole transaction period. I had $20 worth of coins in the account. If they had allowed me to join remote raids, I would have gone and joined remote raids for all of those Mewtwo's. Boom, boom, boom. Next weekend, Entei. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, they could be bringing $5, $10 a week from me on remote raid passes for these shiny shadow hunts that they're not getting. And they also limit you at 5 remote raids per day. Why? They're making money on the remote raid passes. Don't they want more money? Shouldn't they be encouraging it? They're already charging more money for the remote raid passes than the regular raid passes. Shouldn't they be trying to maximize their profit? I get the whole idea of the game is to go outside and play, but like, dude, we're 8 years into this. People like the mechanic of catching Pokemon this way. I loved Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu. They're probably my favorite Pokemon games to date. And the fact that they're not making it more, they're not making a Let's Go Johto or Unova or Sinnoh or Alola, is disappointing to me. Yeah, I still enjoy the catching mechanic. Heck, I don't even mind the battling mechanic. I don't even mind the grinding through the Great Leagues. I just think this game could be improved for the regular player that doesn't live in a major city. And I am someone that lives in a major city now. I live in a major East Coast city, but between my work schedule, where I'm located for most of my time on when these events are going on, and then just like, as an adult with kids who doesn't have a friend group that still plays the game, and it's not like I'm giving my 5-year-old a phone to go out and play the game. I just don't have the ability to go do a lot of these raids. And I think you could make this game a lot more friendly. Step 1, remove the cap on remote raid passes per day. Step 2, charge the same for remote raid pass as a regular raid pass because you're still making money. Step 3, allow remote raid passes for all types of raids. Step 4, you could increase that radius again if you want for people to reach regular gyms, to get people to use raid passes to begin with. Do I have a step 4? Oh, you could improve routes. I don't know. What else could be done here? I also think there should be an easier system for spawns. Like, I got a bunch of Pokespots approved at my work, but the way the land was zoned, I guess, on some map, although I got 4 Pokestops approved there were no spawns. And when I went and looked at it, it was like labeled as government property, even though it's not. So I think there should be a way to appeal that. Like, you should make that system more transparent. Because I've also seen other people complaining where they bought a house in a new construction neighborhood and there's stops now, but no spawns because of how the land was zoned previously. So things changed in the world. It's been 8 years. There should be a better system for that. I have no problem with the Pokestop approval system as it is. It seems to work okay-ish. I don't know. I went to a petting zoo the other day and submitted a bunch of stops because there was nothing there. And they all got denied for being private use farmland or something. Sure, but it's a public petting zoo. I don't know. I feel like there's some discrepancy there on what should or should not be approved because they had some pretty cool art pieces there. I don't know. That's my Pokemon Go rant. Will I make another account? Probably. Will I get a third account to level 40? Maybe. Will I eventually cave and spoof on it to try to get some Pokemon that I can't get otherwise? Maybe. Will that account get banned? 100%. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not even mad at myself. I'm not mad at the game. I'm just kind of annoyed. I'm annoyed that there were no other options. And then I know the option is,
You just don't get the Pokemon then.
Sure. Like, yeah, I guess that's fair. My work schedule doesn't allow me to go do weekend raids. I don't have a big enough group to go do Shadow Mewtwo on my own. Sure. But it doesn't mean I can't be annoyed about it. I don't know. Maybe I'll have some more thoughts on Pokemon Go in the future. I know this is a short little rant. But, yeah. What do you guys think? If you just hate me for spoofing, ever, that's fine. You can hate me. But if you have ideas of Pokemon Go that you think could be improved, let me know. If you have annoyances with the game that I didn't list here, let me know those also. If you listen to the end, give me a thumbs up. And for more content, like and subscribe. Have a good day.